Take a look into the history of UCI, the city of Irvine, and Orange County architecture in this edition of Irvine Scene. This is a rare glimpse into the workings of architect William Pereira and his creative planning that spans cities. We're taking you on a bus tour to learn more.
Welcome aboard, everybody.
Pereira did amazing things back in the 40, 50, 60 years ago. He has not gotten the credit he deserves for that. Architecture and planning moved in other directions, and he was somewhat forgotten. That's why we put on this bus tour, to remind people exactly how important, how significant his ideas were then, and how well they have worked out now, 50, 60 years later.
Alan Hess is an architect and historian, as well as author of 21 books on modern architecture and urbanism in the 20th century. Today, he's our tour guide.
I'm a resident of Irvine on purpose. I love this sort of planning, and I enjoy it every day that I live here as well. So I want my neighbors to understand that it didn't just happen. It's something we should appreciate and work towards in the future.
William Pereira's daughter, Monica Pereira, flew in from Scottsdale, Arizona to be part of this tour, wanting to learn more about her father and sharing memories.
It's amazing to me because in some ways he's almost got more recognition now than he did for the first 20 years after he died. So I just think it's neat that he's being recognized. I lived in Hong Kong where I watched them tear down every bit of this wonderful architecture they have. And I think I'm so pleased that somebody's thinking about, let's preserve some of this stuff, let's not lose it.
Our first stop, Hunt Library in Fullerton, which was donated to the city by Norton Simon and designed by William Pereira in 1962.
As Orange County and all of Southern California were growing in the mid-20th century, people like Norton Simon, the head of Hunt Foods, wanted to give something back to these new burgeoning cities. It's also part of an entire complex, which was the Hunt Foods corporate headquarters. And so the buildings all go together. They all reflect the same design ideas in a beautifully landscaped park. And this is the level of quality of what Orange County citizens were expecting of their new cities in that time period.
This site brings back memories for Tracy Ettinger. She tells us her dad was in aerospace growing up.
He worked at Hughes Aircraft, which was right in the neighborhood there off Melbourne, and I remember it smelling like tomato paste. And then here we were 50 years later or something visiting those buildings, so that was really interesting.
Next, we head to Laguna Woods and check out his work at the Geneva Presbyterian Church, built in 1968.
It's the only church that William Pereira ever designed that I know of. You can see that he put his all into it. It is a sculptural church with upswept roof line. It doesn't follow any traditional sort of Gothic architecture, but it was fashioned for the new kind of city that Irvine and Orange County was expecting.
Our next stop is in Laguna Miguel. It's a building with a style that certainly stands out. We're here to learn more about the Chet Holyfield Federal Building. Alan tells us this was an enormous building, actually 1 million square feet. A lot of it was for light manufacturing.
Pyramid that you see is specifically offices on top of that. But this is part of the aeronautics and aerospace industry that made Orange County.
Rockwell was to be headquartered here. They, however, lost the contract. The federal government bought the building and has since wanted to sell it. We continue on our tour seeing some more Pereira design buildings, then make our way back home and to the UC Irvine campus, where there is more to explore from Pereira, including a street named in his honor.
Pereira designed UCI as a modern campus. I mean, the curriculum, what Dan Aldrich, the original chancellor, was trying to do was to build a campus which would educate California students for the future. And Pereira was designing a campus that would facilitate that.
He set the template for the buildings at the college, designing many, although not all. He left his mark, wanting to blend the campus and the city. Alan explains the design that went into the Jack Langston Library.
What's unique about it is that it has characteristics of Pereira's campus. It has sun shades as integral to the architecture, the design. Keeps the direct sun out of the interior of the building so that you don't have extra heating, air conditioning costs. Now, in the early 1960s, this was a visionary idea.
In 1963, Pereira was on the cover of Time magazine, featured for his visionary and forward thinking as well, with the goal of creating live, work, play communities. For more information on future tours, you can go to preserveorangecounty.org. For Irvine Scene, I'm Jacqueline Twegg.